He might actually be the most derivative one of all. I mean, Christ, the same house.
Maybe so, but you forgot the first rule of surviving a stab movie. Never answer the...
I'm bored.
Wait!
And welcome back to Horror Queers. It's our most anticipated horror of August 2023. How's it going, Trace?
It's going okay. Getting ready to talk about some movies that, to be honest, half of them I didn't even know existed. So, yay, awareness.
Yeah, half the fun of doing these videos is just actively looking at what's coming out. And of course, folks, we recognize that because we do this at the beginning of the month, there's a bunch of things that will pop up that we're not going to reference. And it's the concession we're making.
Yeah, and of course, we use these to talk about smaller films that maybe don't have as much of a eye on them, or maybe don't get as much media attention. So, of course, for our bigger films like this month's Meg 2: The Trench or The Last Voyage of the Demeter, you can hear us talk about those on our Patreon feed. Or just go over to patreon.com/horrorqueers. But we wanted to show some love to some of these smaller films as well.
Indeed, yeah, little films that are catching our attention that maybe one day we'll hopefully check out. I think our track record is really bad for these.
Truthfully. And some of these past ones have been like, oh God, I don't know about some of these movies. But honestly, the ones we have today, I'm kind of like, oh, I think about half of these, even more than half, I would watch them.
Yeah, August is looking surprisingly good, and I think September is going to continue that trend. Obviously, it makes sense because we're in the run-up to Halloween at this point. But yeah, I mean, this was not a difficult list to put together compared to a couple of months ago.
Yeah,
I think June was really bad.
Yeah, it was just like desert island. But let's get started. So, what is your first pick? What are you looking forward to this month?
Okay, so I have one that is listed as going theatrical. I don't know about this because it's supposed to be coming out on August 4th, and it is called Till Death Do Us Part. So this is one of several wedding-themed horror films that we've been getting in the last couple of months. But this one caught my eye because it's almost more of an action film, but it's got recognizable actors. So this isn't like straightforward indie, you have no idea who's in the cast.
Right.
So the logline is, after running away on her wedding day, a bride-to-be must fight for survival against her former fiancé and his 7 deadly groomsmen. And ironically enough, even though the logline is all about the bride, I didn't recognize this actress. But in the cast, like the main adversary is not even the groom. It's like, I think his best man or one of the other guys, but he's played by Cam Gigandet from Burlesque and a couple of other things. Obviously,
oh my God,
from
wait,
Twilight.
What's the movie that's like it's like The Descent but in space with Dennis Quaid? Oh my God. Oh, it's one of those weird words too. Shit, well, he's in that.
Okay. Yeah, like people know him, and then it also has Orlando Jones as one of the other groomsmen. So basically, it's just a knockdown, drag out action fight as they track this bride down and try to beat the shit out of her for running away from the wedding. And guess what? It doesn't work out super well for them, but that's where all the fun lies.
I will confess. Oh, Pandorum, by the way, was the name of that movie.
Oh, Pandorum, yes. See, I was thinking of Ben Foster. If you had to say Ben Foster
in that too, actually. I will confess, when I saw Cam Gigandet's name on this, I was like, I don't know about that.
He doesn't always make good choices. It's true.
No, but this trailer looks like a lot of fun, like an R-rated, violent Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yes. And I think that's why I liked it, is because obviously this is going to be a good for her sort of feel good narrative, but the action looks very competent and it just looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I hard agree on that. Also, where has Orlando Jones been?
I knew him when he was back on that Sleepy Hollow TV show, but I have not been keeping up with his career.
Yeah, I haven't either. But no, this was a pleasant surprise. It was one of those where I kept seeing the articles about it, and I was like, like whatever. Didn't even watch the trailer. So I watched it obviously for this, and I was like, oh, okay.
Right, yeah. My only question mark is that theatrical piece where I'm just like, I must be misreading this, or it must be being misreported, because I've seen zero promotion for this. People are not talking about this movie at all. And this seems perfect for I'm staying in on Friday and I just want to watch something on VOD.
Yeah, exactly. Well, something that is not going to theaters, but is already available on
Huh.
VOD, and actually it's on Netflix apparently.
Oh, okay.
Is the remake of the remake of The River Wild, just
Right.
called River Wild.
Very important distinction. Yes, this is exciting because you and I have talked about The River Wild and how much we actually enjoy that movie.
Yeah, but honestly though, it seems like it's a remake in name only, and
Mm,
the basic premise of people on a river rafting trip.
sure.
Out is Meryl Streep and her son and her husband. We've got a pair of siblings played by Leighton Meester and Taran Killam, who love but distrust each other as they embark on a whitewater rafting trip with a small group. And one of their friends from childhood, played by Leighton Meester's real life husband, Adam Brody, turns out to be more dangerous than he appears.
Not gonna lie, I completely forgot that Leighton Meester and Adam Brody
Oh,
are married.
so I had no idea this movie existed until about a couple weeks ago, and
No one
it's
did. No one
it's one of
did.
the it's like they're remaking I don't remember this announcement happening,
Mm-mm,
and
mm-mm.
then I was doing my research and I was like, oh shit, like they're married. I will say this looks better than I was expecting, given that it is
Yes.
like no promotion,
Mm-mm.
straight to VOD/Netflix. Also the reviews for it have been like not
Okay.
great, but like they've been okay.
Right.
Better than I would expect like a movie like this with the way it's been treated to be.
Mm. Yeah. And honestly, this is the kind of thing where I feel like reviews almost matter less. Where
Oh
if you
yeah.
tell me that this is going to be a good time, I'm probably not going to care whether or not it's like the best movie of the year. If it's got fun action, if Leighton Meester is punching Adam Brody in the face or Taran Killam is getting thrown overboard, I'm having a good time with it.
Yeah, no, hard agree on that. Also, I just like Leighton Meester, and to
Mhm.
see Adam Brody play a villain, I mean, I want to see
Yes.
that.
Yes. Yeah. We love it when people go out of the box for kind of unconventional casting. So I'm all over it.
Yeah. I do want to say too, the guy that directed it, Ben Katai, he also co-wrote The Strangers Prey at Night. So he
Oh,
at least knows how to do some fun, cheesy, slashery goodness.
right. And folks, if you wrote off Strangers Prey at Night, we encourage you to go back and check it out. We actually covered it as an audio commentary on the Patreon. And that movie definitely holds up. Slash, if you're like me and you wrote it off because you were an asshole when it came out, you may change your mind.
Yeah, it real good. All right, what's next?
Okay, so this is my biggest question mark of my
Mhm.
three picks. It is a Thai film, but the Thai film got good reviews when it came out earlier this year. It is
Mhm.
called Home for Rent. It's coming out August 10th on Netflix. And here's the logline. When her good tenants go bad, a landlord finds herself terrorized by a cult that seemingly has her husband enthralled and her daughter in its sight. So if you look at this, it's a weird mixture of a possession film and a
Yeah.
cult film.
And
But
maybe home invasion too, almost.
yeah, it's very wild. It's apparently slower than the trailer makes it seem. Like it actually does lay out the groundwork with this family in a compelling way. So you actually care about them. So,
So I don't know if you caught this in the trailer. It makes sure to make you know, like, this is from the same studio that brought you The Medium, from I want to say
oh,
2021.
yes. Yeah.
Really good movie, but it's also
Okay.
2 hours and 10 minutes long. It takes a long time to get to the set, but
Yes.
once it gets there, like
Oh, so
holy shit.
good.
And
So good.
I just checked. The runtime for Home for Rent is 2 hours and 4 minutes. So,
Holy shit balls.
but
Okay.
again, once you tell me, oh, from the studio that did The Medium, that all tracked. So it may be one
Right.
of those things where, yeah, it's a slow build to get to the batshit insanity, but it
Mhm.
will be batshit insanity.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this was not on my radar at all. This was me
Mm-mm.
combing through a variety of different lists. I often find Netflix is doing this kind of stuff, right? They're quietly dropping, particularly international horror films with absolutely zero fanfare. And it's up to folks like us to say, hey, has anybody actually seen this? Maybe you should check it out. So
Yeah.
keep an eye on these streaming services, folks, because it's not all, A-list big blockbuster films. Some of them are like quiet little indie gems.
Yeah, absolutely. What might be a quiet little indie gem or might not be. Honestly, the trailer didn't
Mhm.
give me a ton of hope, but we'll see. Uh,
It's a question mark. Yeah.
This is going to be a Dark Windows hitting VOD services on August 18th. And
Okay.
the basic logline is a group of teenagers take a trip to an isolated summer house in the countryside. What starts as a peaceful getaway turns into a horrific nightmare when a masked man begins to terrorize them in the most gruesome ways. And that is leaving out one important detail that I've seen in other more full plots for this film.
Okay.
Basically, we have 4 teenagers who are involved in a car crash, and one of them dies. And the uncle of the girl who dies blames the other 3 for her death.
Because if you watch the trailer, this is very much a slasher. Like, we're watching a man in a mask come in and brutally massacre these kids, or at least terrorize them. We don't see actual deaths from what I saw. So that's interesting because that suggests to me that it's not a whodunit so much as
a revenge tale.
Yeah, like, are these kids going to get out of this alive?
Yeah, unless that's just like an extra plot point and there is a killer while there's also this angry uncle coming after these girls.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? This caught my attention because the logline sounded super generic. The title sounds super generic. You watch the trailer and it feels like it could go either way, but it looks stylish to me. Like it could actually be pretty good.
Yeah, it might be a case of like, well, maybe not style over substance, but just where, like the technical parts of the film are gonna make up for maybe the narrative and, dare I say, acting shortcomings in the film.
Yeah. Okay, so my final one is actually a film that I wouldn't have paid any attention to except for the director in question. So I'm talking about The Elevator Game. It comes out on August 11th on Shudder. Trace, you have heard of The Elevator Game, have you not?
Okay, so it was so funny. So I watched this trailer, and one of like the little like title cards that pops up is it's like the most talked about urban legend on TikTok.
Which we're not on, so
yeah, I'm like, I don't know that. But yeah, so season 2 of one of our favorite shows, Evil, adapted this urban legend in an episode. Now, granted, it took a more a realistic approach to it because what the trailer for this movie looks like is it's supernatural demonic entities. But yeah, it's like you walk into an elevator, you press the buttons in a certain order, and then it takes you to hell, basically.
Right. Yes. And the whole idea is that you can get stuck there if you're not careful, or if you do it out of order, nothing happens, but people go missing typically when they do this. So that's very much the plot line for this movie. It's about a socially awkward teenager named Ryan who discovers that his sister played the elevator game the night that she disappeared. And if you watch the trailer, that's really what this is. It looks super generic, not particularly exciting. So as I said, the only reason that I'm remotely excited about this is that it's directed by Rebecca McKendry. And if folks don't know her, she's very well known in horror circles as a critic, as a podcaster for Colors of the Dark. And she also helmed Glorious, which is a single location pandemic film with Ryan Quanten from, again, I want to say 2021.
Last year, 2022, baby.
And that movie was great. And nobody talked about it, or few people talked about it, and more people need to have watched it. But that movie I thought was really well directed. It elevated what could have been a very simple, very not exciting premise. So I don't have a lot of faith in this movie as a concept, but I have a lot of faith in her as a director who could elevate it.
Yeah, I'm very much in the same boat. And her husband also co-wrote the film too, and he also co-wrote Glorious.
Yes.
So yeah, I agree with you. I think the trailer looks pretty generic, but I do have faith in McKendry's directing abilities. It's been fun seeing her grow. I mean, because she's a professor, I want to say at some college out in LA, and she teaches like horror films. So like she knows her
shit. Yeah. So that's why I'm like, I hope this is just a bad trailer for a good movie.
Absolute same. So I will wrap us up. I am going into aquatic horror, although not of the creature feature variety. We are looking at The Dive, which hits limited theaters on August 25th. Basically, this looks like 47 meters down without the sharks.
Correct, yes.
2 sisters go diving at a beautiful remote location. One of them is struck by a rock, leaving her trapped 28 meters below. With low levels of oxygen and cold temperatures, it is up to her sister to fight for her life. I think this looks fine, actually. The premise is definitely one where I'm like, ooh, like, are we going to be able to make a whole feature-length film out of this type of thing? Especially if we're splitting the sisters up. But because that's what happens. One of them goes up to the surface to like get help, which that could add a new wrinkle and maybe help differentiate it from something like 47 meters down. But
Mhm.
if there ain't no sharks, I'm like, all right, how you gonna build tension, movie? Prove it to me.
Well, I'm interested. Did you see that movie Fall or The Fall
Yes.
from last year? Because that's
Hmm.
actually more of what I got from this. Very much that kind of single location. We're battling the elements and our time is running out.
Hmm.
So that movie also does a little bit of a kind of fake out with its narrative in the same way that 47 Meters Down does.
Hmm.
These movies love to do I'm hallucinating because I'm under duress, I'm running out of supplies, and so on. So I'm intrigued to see how much of this movie is going to play fair. But I agree with you that, if it's just a simple little fun thriller, those can be done very well.
Shooting underwater movies like this, I'm like, this must be like such a maybe not an expensive ordeal, but like it seems very like a lot of elements are in play
Mhm.
here. And so for what looks like a small, like, low-ish budget film to do something like this, I'm like, honestly, I'm intrigued.
This is true. Yes, we just like water horror.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much hit everything. I mean, we have Carter Smith's The Passenger, which is also coming out with
Mhm.
Kyle Gallner. I didn't put that on because I know you'd already seen it before, so we will be talking about it at some point.
Yes, yeah, and we're gonna cue people's attention to a other movie coming out on Shudder on August 18th called Birth Rebirth that we both saw out of Sundance. Spoiler alert, you can probably hear us talk about that in the future as well.
Yeah, yeah. But do check that one out.
Yes.
All right, everyone. Well, that has been our most anticipated August 2023 horror films. Let us know if we missed anything. But until next time, we can cross out this minisode.
Indeed. Yeah. We'll talk to you folks next month.